We're next going to discuss the library workspace and creating a guest VM from a guest VM template. Now, in order to create a VM template, you have to create a couple of other things first. A hardware profile and a guest OS profile. So it's a multi-step process here. What we'll need is actually the library section of these workspaces. These things down here, these are our workspaces. VMs and services, fabrics, library, and jobs. The fabric setting is this is what you see in front of you now. Servers, networking, storage, vCenter servers, Pixie servers, VMM servers, etc. What I'm going to do now is look at the library. And in terms of my library, I've got my library servers, I've got some profiles. What we're going to need to build a VM template is a hardware profile and a guest OS profile. So that's what we're going to do now. We start with the hardware profile. So we're going to go to profiles. Let's see. Hardware profile. And let's see. So hold on. I'm going to create a hardware profile. And hardware profile, we've got some general options here. Let's see, so in the general tab, we're going to type light. Actually, I'm going to pause this because you don't need to watch me type. A light duty a profile. Now, a Gen 1 doesn't limit me to 32-bit OSs. A Gen 2 will limit me to 64, so I can use a 64-bit image. So what I'm going to do is click and I'm going to go to the so I'm going to click the hardware profile tab. What I'm going to do is crank that up to 2048. 2048, notice that it is blue and italicized. Notice that I've CPU priority is okay, in the advanced section. Okay, advanced CPU priority. I'm going to set that to low. In the advanced section, memory weight, I'm going to set that to low. So this is the VM that's not going to be, it's not going to be allowed to work harder than other machines of a higher priority. Click virtual DVD. And I'm actually going to, okay, so I'm going to choose, what I'm actually going to do is use the so-called physical drive on this thing. I could also use an existing ISO image. So click OK. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change that right quick. Hardware profiles. Virtual DVD. Okay. So there's my guest OS profile. Let's see. Let's look at that hardware profile. It's using my secondary channel. Okay. Actually, you know what? I accidentally made a copy of that. I can delete that copy. Yes. The next thing I want to do is create the OS profile. So I'm going to go to a guest OS profile, create guest OS profile. This is going to be called Windows. And again, I'm not going to pause. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it in Windows compatibility mode. In guest OS, I'm gonna do Windows 2016 standard, admin password. I'm going to specify the password of the local admin account. It's going to be password just follow the instructions in the book. Let me see. Product key, I'm going to make that let's see. Okay. As far as, let's see, domain work group goes, I'm going to leave it in work group. I'm going to click OK. So we've got our server-based profile, our hardware profile. The next thing we're going to do is create a VM template. Essentially cloning a virtual machine. So we're going to go to VMs and services. Let's see. VMs and services. There, here we go. We're going to create, we're going to go to the all hosts node. Good. All host. Click create virtual machine. Okay, so this is the virtual machine wizard. We're going to call it, let's see, hold on. So I goofed a bit. I forgot to do activity 5.5 and install a VM inside my VM. Let's see. Okay, so it's going to be standard desktop, nothing special here. I'm just going to call this probably, and yes. Interestingly, there's this little leading square that my actual pointer is chasing around. Advanced, new, apply, okay. So I'm going to do this right quick and then I'll have something to clone. Because I discovered when I was working with VMM, the virtual machine manager, I tried to use my refresh virtual machines option and nothing was coming up. And now, interestingly enough, it has already found something. See, I haven't even finished and it can see it. So that's cool. Interestingly enough, it didn't partition this thing as dramatically as I would have expected, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to pause here and come back to this. Okay, so I'm not going to do it yet because there's really nothing to clone. But now that I have a VM I can work with, this Windows Server 2016, this create option is actually kind of useful to me. I can clone it, I can create a VM template from it, I can migrate the storage to the virtual machine, I can store it in the library. So, and notice that I've got a lot of the same things here, powering it on, powering it off, powering it on, powering it off, pausing it, resetting it, saving its state, setting checkpoints, connecting or view, connect via console or via RDP, even look at its properties. Now, some of this stuff may get a little confused because it's notice that this is more or less identical to what I did a minute ago. I've got a physical drive attached to, because I'm using the same Windows 2016 image I used for this thing. It's already there. I don't have to worry about moving the ISO image in by remapping that network share. Anywho, all of the same things, many of the same tools at least that I have in the virtual machine Hyper-V Manager, I have right here in the virtual machine manager in honestly a more accessible format. Now I'm going to wait some more because it's thinking. So, and when we're good and done with this, I can clone this thing, and then on the once it's cloned, I can turn it into a new VM template. Now, what I'm trying to do is set up a new guest OS profile. Now, one of the things you want to do here, you're gonna clone this thing essentially, and then turn it into a template. And a template is essentially a clone that you can no longer boot. So we'll be right back. All right, rather than keep waiting, I'm going to stop this video here. Once the VM comes up in a state that I can actually use it for something, I'm going to actually finish the video on creating the virtual machine template and creating a VM from a template. So when I said this was a two-step, that this process required two things, I was wrong. You have to have the hardware profile, you have to have the guest profile, but you also have to have the VM template. All three of those things together, boom. And rather the cloned machine. All those things together become a new VM you can clone. And I'm still waiting for this system to install, so I'm going to move on from here.